Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. I'm so excited.
Yeah, this is awesome. I really liked Cold Snap, and that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm
So,
so glad you enjoyed it.
yeah, I read Frostbite as an arc too, and I really loved that. The nostalgia, the 90s vibes, and all the throwbacks. And it was a lot of fun.
Great. Yeah. I am such a fan of nostalgia, so I can't get
Same.
enough of it.
Yeah. So, just start. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your career in writing.
Sure. So I came to writing a little bit later. I wasn't like I've always been a creative person and always read a lot, like a voracious reader, but I didn't start writing until I was in my early 30s. Actually, at my day job, I had someone who worked for me that was basically working for health insurance. They were a part time employee and a writer. And so we would always talk about writing and books. And she basically one day was like, "Why don't you try it?"
Yeah.
So I did, and I kind of never looked back. I just loved it so much. So that was probably like 15 years ago now. So I just kind of went in head first to writing and really dedicated myself to it. And I think I kind of like perfected my craft with short stories. So I love short stories, reading and writing them. And I've probably got like over 60 published short works out there on various magazines and podcasts and anthologies, but I'm newer to publishing long work. So Frostbite came out like 2.5 years ago now, I think. That was my first novel. And then Cold Snap is the sequel. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Nice. That's awesome. Um, do you want to talk about your writing process a little bit?
Sure. Well, I do still have a day job, as most writers do. It's
Yep.
not exactly the highest paying gig.
Yeah.
We do it for love.
Yeah.
So I usually write mostly on the weekends, like big chunks on the weekends, a little bit in the evening sometimes, but oftentimes during the week I have to do kind of like the business side of writing, like
Yeah.
marketing and website and all of those kind of things. So mostly it's like a weekend thing. I just shut myself in my office and get occasional visits from my partner and my cats throughout the day. And I
Nice.
just knuckle down and write.
That sounds fun though.
Yeah, it is.
Um, so Cold Snap, do you want to give us a little bit of a synopsis for it?
Sure. I'll actually start with Frostbite just in case people aren't familiar with it. So,
Yep.
Frostbite it takes place in the 90s. So, that's where the nostalgia comes from. And it's about a small town in North Dakota that gets hit by a meteor, and alien worms come out of the meteor and infect the hibernating prairie dogs who rise and attack and spread to other animals and people. And the book follows Raylene and her best friend Nate, who are kind of in the position to hopefully save their town from the creatures and also a doomsday cult. Because I love a cult, so I
Same.
gotta put some like religious extremism in there.
Yeah.
So then Cold Snap is about what kind of the aftermath to start. So, the trauma and aftermath of everything that's happened in this town. A lot of people have died or been affected and are grieving. So now we're back with Nate and Raylene is kind of having a hard time. She's isolating herself and having a hard time getting over the events. But Nate is sort of just wants to forget about what's going on and just move on. So he's kind of in denial a little bit. And he has a new girlfriend, and they end up going up to Canada for spring break because I think you're in Minnesota, right?
Yep.
I grew up in North Dakota, and we didn't go to Florida for spring break. That wasn't achievable,
Yeah.
at least not for me. So we would just cross the border and go north because the drinking age is 18 in Canada. So in Manitoba, at least.
Yeah.
So in the book, Nate heads north into Winnipeg, and turns out though there is a second half of the meteor that had landed up there. So when Raylene discovers that, she basically has to like overcome her fears and go try to save the world and her best friend again. And there's more creatures again, as well as government conspiracies and UFO enthusiasts.
Yeah. It's got a lot and I love
It's
it.
got a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I was homeschooled, so I never really got spring break.
Mm-hmm.
But that would have made sense to go to Canada, like you said, versus Florida, because it would be more economical. And then that's another thing. I've never been to Canada. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, I just love the Canadian people. I'm kind of a Canadian wannabe, I would say.
Yeah.
I always wish I was like born, just a couple hours north so I could be Canadian.
Yeah.
I love the culture, which I'm sure would resonate with you too, because you've probably got some of that Minnesota nice in
Oh, yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So I feel like Canadians are like that too, just very like warm, lovely people. And they understand the cold, which we also do. So yeah, I think you'd like it.
Yeah. And multiple springs.
Yes, that's
Like
right. Like
we're in our
fake
third spring
spring.
right now.
That's right. Yeah.
You got
They
me
understand it.
wanting you got me wanting a Canadian Kit Kat now. I'm like kind of obsessed with that and I want to try that.
Yeah, they're totally better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just love foreign candies. I'm kind of obsessed with. I love the idea of trying snacks from that aren't American.
Yeah.
But yes, Canadian chocolate, Canadian Kit Kat is definitely better. I highly recommend.
Yeah, I need to order some. What were some of your inspirations for this series and this installment in particular?
Well, you know, I did, since I grew up in North Dakota, the setting is definitely inspired by my formative years of kind of those cold winters. And Raylene lives in a trailer park. I grew up in a trailer park. There's nothing like living in a metal box in
Yeah, in the
in a
cold.
in like very cold weather.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting experience. So I tied that in just based on my own experience. I did also have a prairie dog colony. Actually, it was probably not prairie dogs, but I'm forgetting the word. Like a close cousin, not groundhogs. Anyway, there's very related like species. I had
Yeah.
a colony behind my house. And so I remember the chirping of the prairie dogs in the summer and watching them run around in the field and all of that. So that's kind of where the idea started, was thinking about, what if you were hunkered down in your trailer in the middle of winter and something bad really happened in your small town. And I had to include the cult as well, because I think when I was thinking about what would happen if something is raining from the sky, you
Yeah, it
know,
fits.
it fits. I was like, what would the small town religious people think is happening? They're going to think it's related to their beliefs, right? So it made sense to me to roll in an apocalyptic cult. So that was kind of where the inspiration started. And then because I am a 90s kid, 80s and 90s kid, I think the nostalgia came really naturally to me to think back to those snacks and movies and music and everything from that time.
Yeah.
So that was fun and pretty easy because I grew up with it. And I think it lends itself to horror comedy, so it makes it fun while also being disturbing and scary. So yeah, it kind of all started just with like my upbringing, and the things I like were kind of the inspiration for it. And specifically with Cold Snap, then I think the inspiration kind of went extended to this idea of trauma and what happens after. I really like thinking about that, like the stories of what happens to the final girl when the fight is done, those kind
Yeah.
of things. So I thought it was like a natural extension to look at like what happens to this town when it's all done and what happens to these people. So yeah, that was kind of where it all started.
I love that. That kind of progression and the way you're kind of talking about it reminds me of My Heart is a Chainsaw and that
Yes.
series.
Love that series.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Stephen Graham Jones. So,
Same.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't think, have you seen those posts going around like, would I survive this horror novel?
Yes, I
I
have
don't,
seen those.
I don't think I would survive this one just because the prairie dogs are so cute and I would probably get attacked, like possibly willingly just because they're adorable.
I know. Same. You would like try to pet them or something like,
Yeah.
hey, little guy, what's wrong?
Yeah, exactly.
Or at the very least, I would have a hard time like fighting them. I don't really
Yeah.
want to kill a cute little prairie dog.
They're too cute.
I would be like, just take me.
Yeah. Same. Um, so kind of talking about the nostalgia, I love all the 90s themes and nostalgia. What was your favorite throwback that you included?
Well, this is kind of a general category, but maybe two things. So, first off, I'm a huge fan of music in all its forms, which obviously you are too, from
Yeah.
the room you're in, I can tell.
Yeah.
Music is super important to me. And so I love listening to the songs from that time and like evoking feelings. So I knew I wanted to tie that in. I have a playlist that goes along with the book, and people can get it on Spotify, by the way, if you're into that kind of thing. So I think music was one of my favorite things to explore, but then also snacks,
Yeah.
because that is definitely based on me. I am Raylene in my love for food. So I love candy and snacks and things that are terrible for you in all their forms. So it
Honestly,
was
same.
fun, like, I don't know, just exploring that. It's almost like living vicariously. Like,
Yeah.
at my age, I have to start thinking about what I eat and everything. But Raylene, I can make her eat whatever I want. So it's like fantasy, wish fulfillment, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. For frostbite, I remember I grabbed the wild berry Pop Tarts to put like with my
Yeah,
picture of it because that was a lot of fun. I loved seeing that reference. And then I miss old Snapple bottles, like the glass
I
bottles with the metal
know.
pop top
And the facts
and the
under the
facts.
cover, under the top, those were
Yeah.
so fun.
They don't do the facts anymore, do they? Because
No, I don't think so.
yeah, the last time I got a Snapple, I was really disappointed because I'm like, this is a plastic bottle, disappointing. And then I opened it up and I'm like, where's the
What?
fact?
I wanted to learn something cool today.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I
Like,
have to ask, do you toast your Pop Tarts or are you an untoasted?
I used to never toast them, but now I'm more into toasting them. But I kind of do a weird thing. I haven't tried the Pop Tart cereal. I kind of want to try it, but
Oh, I didn't even
ever
know there was
since,
a Pop Tart cereal.
yeah,
Oh my gosh. Okay.
ever since I was a kid, I always like broke my Pop Tarts up and just put them in milk like a cereal.
Yes. Yes.
But I kind of found a level up on that by actually toasting them and then turning it into a cereal because it's softer and kind of gooey. And to a lot
Yes.
of people, it'd probably be a
Like
really
melts the
nasty texture.
inside.
But
I'm
yeah,
here for it.
yeah,
I
I
want
love
to
it.
try it.
It's really good. So, what was your favorite scene to write?
I would say so. I'm kind of thinking of the two books as a whole. My first one that comes to mind, and this is kind of like horror writer brain, I guess, is in the first book, I kill someone with a snowmobile.
Yeah,
And I had a great time writing that scene. I thought it was so funny. There's prairie dogs running around the snowmobile and like jumping off of it and everything. And I just thought that was fun to write. I came out of my office like cackling to my partner when I wrote that scene.
I love that.
Kind of probably he thought I was like a psychopath. Um, so that's probably the one that stands out the most. And it felt very North Dakota to me to
Yeah,
like have to, your weapon is a snowmobile.
yeah, very valid. Yeah, and fitting.
Yeah.
I love that. So, you left us on a cliffhanger. What's next for Raylene, Nate, and the rest of the crew?
Yeah, I definitely, both books kind of end on cliffhangers, which is sort of an homage to 80s and 90s horror films.
Yeah.
I love that when you're like, wait, is there going to be another one? There's like critter eggs left after they think they're all dead and that kind
Yep.
of thing. So I'd like to leave it open. So I would love there to be a book 3, but I have not written it yet.
Okay.
So it just all depends, if folks like it enough that I have the opportunity to write a book 3, I think that would be great. Obviously, it's a business, so the publisher would have to think they can sell enough copies they want to publish it. But I definitely have some ideas in mind for what Nate and Raylene would go through in book 3. And I definitely think there would be more with the UFO conspiracists.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of setting some things at a con. So, like a UFO convention, I think
Oh,
could be
that'd be
really fun
fun.
setting.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the found family that she got in that community.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of like one of the big themes of book 2 is like found family. Sometimes you don't always have the family around you need, either because you've lost them or because maybe they aren't so good.
Yeah.
They aren't the family you need, which I think all of us can identify with.
Yep.
So you kind of have to make and find your own family, um, and your own little wacky tribe of people. So yeah, totally.
Yeah. Um, I saw we're getting audiobooks for both Frostbite and Cold Snap soon.
Yes, they're
What
actually
was,
out now.
oh, are they?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. Now I want to go and listen to both of them. What was that process like?
So fun. I am so excited because all all 4 of my books from Dark Matter, Frostbite, Cold Snap, and then I have a YA slasher called Shopping Spree and a short story collection called The Dead Spot. They kind of pushed all those audiobooks at a very similar time. So they're all out now,
Oh,
which is super
amazing.
exciting. And it was a lot of fun because I love the narrator. Her name is Bridie, and she did a great job with it. Her and I had some conversations early on about what I wanted the characters to sound like and like the tone of the book. And also, I'm just a huge audiobook reader myself,
Same.
especially novels. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I listen to more novels on audiobook, but then shorter stuff I'll read like on Kindle or paper.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm super excited just because I'm such an audiobook fan. So yeah, I'm psyched.
Yeah.
And my partner, he is like my number one beta reader. He's always like the first person that I get feedback from and like brainstorm with. And he's actually not a huge reader. So he's really doing me a solid being a beta reader, but he loves audiobooks. So that's the other thing I'm super excited about is he will get to like read them in their final form, kind of,
Yeah.
because he's only seen them as works in progress. So that's particularly exciting for me too.
I love that. That's super special.
Yeah.
Yeah, my husband is kind of like, he's not a huge reader either, but it's not the same. But like for my reviews and stuff, sometimes if I need that like editing, like I kind
Yeah.
of go to him and have him like, I read it to him and he'll kind of like proof it for me. So
Nice. Yeah,
yeah,
it's good to have like an objective opinion, but someone who knows you. They
yep,
know what you're trying to accomplish. So
exactly. So what's next for you?
So I have a couple things coming up. I do have a little bit of like promo stuff. So like I have a couple book events. I'm not sure when this episode will come out, but in April I have like a launch party at Old Firehouse Books, which is one of my local bookstores that I love. And I'll be doing an in conversation with another author. Her name is Rachel Dempsey, who's wonderful. So
Yeah.
I'll do that on the 7th of April. And then I have a book signing in Fort Collins on the 11th of April and in Loveland, Colorado. By the way, I live in Colorado now, in Loveland, Colorado on the 18th. So I have all those events coming up. And then I'll also be at StokerCon this summer. So I'll likely be doing some book signing and stuff there and panels, hopefully.
Nice.
So yeah, a bunch of events coming up. And then writing wise, I have some short stories coming out. I have, do you know the series Twisted Tales to Tell in the Dark from Death by TBR
Yes.
Books?
Yep.
It's kind of like an homage to scary stories to tell in the dark.
Yeah.
So they have one coming out this summer, and I have a story in that called The Bunny Man,
Oh,
which
that sounds
is
fun.
about a Halloween gone wrong, kind of.
Oh,
So I'm hoping people love that. It's like a nice monster story. And then I also have a folk horror story that I'm really excited about called She Ebbs for Us that is coming out in of Dread, Doom, and Decay, which is a horror collection coming out this summer. And then the other one that's coming out this summer is in a Shirley Jackson tribute collection,
oh, nice.
which I'm super psyched about because, who doesn't love Shirley Jackson?
Yeah.
That story is called In an Ideal World. And the collection, I think, is going to be called If You're the Devil, Where's Your Tail? So, yeah, so I'm going to have a bunch of short stories out this summer. And then on the longer work front, I'm working on writing a new book right now, which is kind of a mishmash of, it's like inspired by Companion, if you've seen the movie Companion,
Yep.
meets the Stepford Wives.
That'll be
So
really cool.
it's very like female rage, good for her kind
My,
of a
that's my
look.
favorite. So that's going to be my vibe.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll finish that sometime
Yeah.
and we'll
That'll
see where
be,
that goes. So yeah.
that's amazing. Yeah, it's kind of perfect for the lead up to your events coming up because I'm planning on having this out Monday.
Oh, awesome.
So,
That's great.
yeah.
That's fast turnaround. Nice.
Yeah. My husband is my like super help with videos because he helps with the audio end, which I'm not super great at. So it's kind of cool having him help me with that. So it
Nice.
helps turn it around a little faster.
My husband is also kind of my like tech person. He
Yeah.
is an IT guy in his day job, so it's really nice. It's
Nice.
like I feel like I have an on-site IT department
Yeah.
anytime I have problems or like
Troubleshooter
technical
and
needs.
everything.
Yeah.
Nice. The last two questions that I kind of try to ask everybody, what does horror mean to you?
Ooh, that's a good one. Um, that's a there's a lot there. I would
Yeah.
say as a kid, I think back to when I first started reading horror. And I think at the time it was like an escape, just like a lot of reading is, but also kind of exciting and taboo. I definitely grew up as a good girl, like try to be good and don't create waves and always be perfect. And, you know,
Yep.
so horror was like a very taboo thing for me to be doing and very exciting. But also, I think as a kid, it kind of teaches you bravery, right?
Yeah.
Like you you may face a lot of things in the world that feel overwhelming, but I almost feel like horror is practice,
Yeah.
It's practice to like fight. You get all the reactions of being scared and overwhelmed, but you come out the other side. And I think, especially when you're younger, you kind of feel braver for it. Like, I accomplished something, I did it.
Yeah.
So I think as a young person, it's kind of all of that. And nowadays, that all still applies, but I would say it's almost about, it means to me comfort. I definitely find it comforting. Particularly things that are nostalgic,
Yeah.
and like horror comedy is like a safety blanket for me. because of the things I liked when I was growing up. So I find it very comforting, but it's almost a combination of comfort and discomfort.
Yeah.
It makes you uncomfortable because it is scary and it makes you confront things often you don't want to think about. I think it's almost like therapy.
Yeah.
I feel like that's why horror writers and horror readers are some of the most like well-adjusted people that I know, because by reading horror, we're like doing the work, the
Yeah.
internal work. You're really like confronting your own issues and all that stuff. So, yeah, that's a lot, but
No, I
basically, horror
love
is the
that.
perfect genre.
Yeah. Agreed. And I love saying it's like therapy because honestly, that's very accurate.
Yeah,
Like it's it's kind of that thing that's always there for you and you
yeah,
can come to it and leave it when you're not like feeling it. But I love that because for me, it's kind of that space that I can go to and experience uncomfortable things, but in a safe environment.
yeah, exactly. And you're right that you can close it. You can close the book if you're kind of not ready, if it's getting to be too much.
Yeah.
You can seek out like what you're ready for. And I think as a writer too, that is also true. Like where you kind of are working through stuff by writing about it. Like, for example, one of the things that I wrote about in Frostbite was dementia, and I have people in my family with dementia, and that runs in my family, and so that's a good way for me to like work through those fears.
Yeah.
Same thing with Nate grows up in a house with domestic violence, and so did I. So like that's a lot of me coming to terms with my own upbringing and like experience with my parents and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I can like externalize it a little bit by making the character go through it.
Yep.
But really, I'm kind of working through my own issues too, so it's kind of handy.
Yeah. No, that's good. I love the representation that you put in it. Um, I don't have anyone in my family that has dementia, but it's one of those things where it's very like kind of scary to think about and hard to think about.
Yeah. Well, and I think even for people that don't have dementia, we're all going to age, right? And we all
Yeah.
have aging family members. And I think it's an extension of this idea of losing who you were,
Yeah.
of like you're changing and you're becoming someone different. And that's kind of hard to
Yeah.
experience yourself, but also to see your family member go through, which none of us can avoid. That's just how aging works. So,
Yeah. Um, and the representation that you had for Nate with his family felt really relatable too. So I loved that.
good.
Yeah.
Plus, I got the other fun thing with writing horror is you get to like punish bad people.
Yeah. That was
Not
very
everyone
fitting.
always gets what they deserve.
Yeah.
The bad guys don't always pay, but sometimes they do pay, and that is fun.
Yeah. Yeah. What happened in Frostbite to, you know, part of, I don't want to spoil anything, but the scene in Frostbite that happened,
Yeah.
um, I loved, I loved that. That felt very deserved.
It's like cathartic. You're
Yeah.
like, yes. Because
Yes.
sadly, we don't always see people get what they deserve in the real world. So
Yeah.
it can be satisfying, at least in fiction, to sometimes see people get what they deserve.
Yeah. So finally, what was the last book that blew you away?
Hmm. Well, I'm reading one right now that is blowing me away.
Yeah.
I'm going to have two answers actually, but my
That's
first
good.
one is a short story collection because I love short stories, and it's Teenage Girls Can Be Demons by Haley Piper.
Okay.
Um, and it is incredible. It's one of those, it's obviously a lot about girlhood and womanhood and being a woman in the world, being a trans person in the world. And the horrors that go along with all of that. But literally, the first story, I was like, my breath was taken away. I I had to like close the book and sit with it because that opening story was so good. It just hit me like so hard and captured so well kind of the existence of women in the world
Yeah.
that, yeah, amazing. I'm not actually done with the book yet, but so far it's totally taken my breath away. So I'm already going to recommend it, even though I haven't finished it. Also, that book has um, a novella called, I think it's called Benny the Cannibal King, Benny Rose the Cannibal King,
Okay.
which is the first thing I ever read from Haley. And it's a novella that was out of print. And it's kind of a urban legend novella, which
Oh,
I love an urban legend.
yeah.
And, you know, urban legend monster. And there's some like mean girl kind of vibes. And that is republished in this collection. Like it was out of print and now you can get it. So, yeah,
Nice.
definitely read it. And then the other one I was thinking about that I think you'll appreciate because you're a Stephen Graham Jones fan. I don't know if you have read it yet, but The Buffalo Hunter.
Yes. I loved that.
I just thought, yeah, it's just like a masterpiece, you know?
It is. It took me a little bit to get into with it being
Yes.
distillery style because that was
Yeah.
kind of my first experience with that, but it was so good.
So good. And I'm with you too. It took me a little while to get into it. I did the audiobook,
Yeah.
um, but I don't normally read a lot of like historical fiction, you know?
Same.
So it's pretty far back in time. So it definitely wasn't like, yeah, the normal time period that I would vibe with, but it was just so well done.
Yeah.
And like a real feat, I feel like.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Oh, sorry.
no, that's okay. I think he does a really good job at being, I would never call myself a literary writer. You know, I'm a little more genre wacky,
Yeah.
but I think he does a good job at like writing horror that is extremely literary and has real value, you know,
Yeah.
not that like what I write doesn't have value, but you know, it's kind of a tough thing to do, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything I've read from him, I've loved.
Yeah. He's a good voice too, which is important, you know.
Definitely.
Um, and talk about one where you're like rooting for people to die,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And there's prairie dog references in that too.
Yep.
I won't say where, but that was like epic prairie dog use.
Yeah. Getting to see that.
Yeah, none better.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to definitely add the Haley Piper one to my TBR.
Yeah, I recommend it. It's so good.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Well, thank you for meeting with me. This was a lot of fun.
You're welcome. It was a lot of fun. You're such a pleasure to chat with.
Thank you. But yeah, I'm excited for everyone to read this, the series. Like I would say definitely read Frostbite first. Cause it'll flow better. But, yeah, I'm excited for everyone to read the series.
Thank you so much. Yeah, for people who like, you know, a little campy horror,
Yeah.
hopefully it'll give you some fun and some feelings.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I hope you have a good rest of your weekend.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.